right? Every time. Every time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tuesday Talk the podcast. Actually, welcome back. I know last week we didn't get into an episode, but that's because, listen, we was prepping. Got a guest here who is about to drop so many gems on y'all. So I hope you're ready. As always, I tell y'all to have your pen and your paper, your notebook, whatever it is, because you're definitely going to want to take notes. This time around, I am here with Coach K. She is an owner of a New You Coaching and Consulting. Her and her mom got certified as life coaches together, and that's when they started the firm. They specialize in high performance and helping clients reach new levels. Coach K, talk to the people, introduce yourself. How you doing? How you feeling?
I am great. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about what I know we're going to talk about today.
I know that's right. Thank you for coming on and sharing space with us. One thing I want you to share with your people before we get too deep into it is basically just tell us how you even got started coaching. Like, what made you want to get into, especially like high performance coaching? Like, that's a level within itself. So, what really got y'all started? Also, want to say I think it's really cool how you and your mom started this firm together. I think that's really different.
Thank you. Thank you. We were actually both doing fitness coaching. I was a weight gainer. She's a
Okay.
weight loser. So in that, we were kind of able to help both ends of the spectrum. And that was great, honestly. It was lucrative,
Yep.
and and it was nice to be a part of and impact other people's lives in some way, shape, or form. But not but we kind of got to the point to where we felt like we wanted to help people on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of our clients were already coming to us, like they would start with fitness and then we would kind of get into mindset and we would get into other things anyway. So it's like, why don't we just combine all that? Like, why don't we just start coaching
Yes.
on, another level? And we talked about life coaching for a while, but to be honest, I thought it was a joke. I thought I thought I had heard it on like shows, but I didn't think it was a real thing. So we talked about it a little bit, but we kept doing our thing. And then when the pandemic happened, we
Mm.
I had a client at the beginning, at the top of the year in 2020, and she changed the trajectory of how I decided I wanted to coach. She came to me for fitness, but she also had a business goal. She had a
Mm.
family goal, and it was something else. And like she opened up, she like let us into those other parts of her life to guide her in that sense. She trusted us, and being able to help her in all those areas was life changing for us, for
Yes.
sure. So it's like being able to watch that transformation happen in her fitness life, in her, her career, in her family. I was like, this is what we need to do. Like,
Yeah.
this is everything. So because the pandemic happened and we had that downtime, I had an opportunity to really research and see like, okay, what would that look like in terms of just credibility or getting certified in some way, shape, or form to be able to help people in other ways.
Mhm.
Um, and life coaching was a thing. So we took the course, we got certified and we spent the second half of 2020 and then all of 2021 building out our programs. We spent 2022 actually putting the programs into action and tweaking them a little bit and utilizing them on clientele. And then 2023, really accepting clients, like doing it full fledged. And then high performance kind of came because as you work with different people, you start to understand who your person is. I think that
Mhm.
people trying to answer the question of their ideal client in the beginning before they experience any type of clientele is impossible.
Yes.
So you have to just work with different people to know, like, okay, I like the characteristics of this person, this person. I wouldn't work with this person again. Like, you just gotta be
Mhm.
real. So, so in doing that and experiencing different people, I realized that the people we had the most success with was higher performers. But at the time, there really wasn't a name. I just knew like, oh, like these people that are ambitious, that are driven, that are whatever, like I vibe with them a lot better.
Wow.
So I started getting into, I read Relentless, which I had been reading for years. And that kind of opened my eyes to what a goal-driven, he characterizes it as cooler, closer, and cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So what a cleaner is, which technically is like the highest achieving type of person. And of course, he's using sports analogies in the book because he's a trainer. And from there, I started like really looking into, I started typing in things on YouTube like relentless people and like really kind of like understand what that was. And I found this term high performance. And I started to really study it. And I realized like everything that they're saying as high performance coaches, I already feel that, I already say that. So now I have a name to put to it. Like now I have a niche, technically, like
Yes.
a name to put to the niche. And just taking that in and running with it. And that was like the second half of 2023. So really by the end of 2023 is when I actually stepped into high performance unapologetically. Because when you step into a certain niche, you do X a lot of people out, and it's kind of tough to make that, have that courage to be like, I'm only going to work with this type of person. So it took
Yeah.
me a while to like finally unapologetically do that, and now we're here in 2024, and I'm like still getting my rhythm, but it's it's just it's so much more freeing when you know exactly how you want to help people.
Yes. And I was going to say too, because one of the questions I wanted to ask you was like, I think I saw this on your Instagram story one day, where somebody basically said you had like the audacity, the
Oh.
audacity of a white man. And I was cracking up. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I understood exactly what they meant, right? And for them to only to characterize that, towards the white man, it's kind of like, I don't know about that. But it made so much sense. Like when I thought about you and the power of how you coach, and I'm like, she really is an audacious coach, though. Like that is probably an extremely high compliment, like not like just as a person, but also just as a coach, because almost similar towards the book, it's like relentless. So I was going to ask you, like, did reading the book Relentless, is that what kind of gave you the audacity or the confidence to coach in the way that you do, or did you kind of always have that like within you?
Um, I think it did, to be honest. I think the moment I listened to that book, because I had been reading it for a while, like I had been reading it since like 2017.
Yeah.
Um, and I had just been reading it over and over and over. And for some reason, I never understood why I gravitated so much to it. And it started off like me reading it and just trying to be that person myself. So
Yeah.
becoming that person myself by reading the book. And then I started to like, I could I could coach in this. Like I could actually like, other people should feel this way about themselves. Other people should feel this way about their goals. Um, so yeah, I definitely reading that book is pretty much it's played a large role in how I coach.
Yes. So fun fact, y'all. Coach K, because I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but y'all, Coach K, first of all, not Coach K me, but obviously the other
Oh
Coach
yeah.
K. But when I decided that I was going to take life coaching seriously, like of course I've been certified since 2016, but I didn't really fully decide I was going to step fully into it until similar background stories to Coach K. Like I kind of got tired of the physical training. Like I wanted more, not just for myself, but also more for my clients. And when I was coaching in the gym anyway, it always ended up to us being on the floor, sitting and talking about deeper things and helping them in that way. And it's like, Kayla, you're already certified in that. Like, why would you not, just dive deep into it? But I had one session with Coach K, y'all. And from then, it just seems like she planted the seed for me to literally go after exactly what I wanted to unapologetically. And I don't even know if you realize like how much of an impact you had on me in just that one session. Because I
I
think
did. I love that.
after that one session, it was kind of like it still took me, a little while, but as I found my flow, like you said, once I found my flow and I did start getting my feet wet with different types of people that I really like to work with, it's like, okay, now I'm understanding, where I want to go with this a lot more. So another thing I wanted to ask too is like, what is like the most common hindrances that you come across with certain people, like in your high performance clients? Because so for my niche, of course, one of the biggest things I come across with majority of the people who do a free discovery session with me is an extreme amount of self-doubt and low self-esteem. Mostly low self-esteem, I would say, are the clients that I attract. Um, which is, which is completely fine by me, but I'm just curious, like in the high performance area, like what is your most common hindrances that you run across?
So what I have found is that working with high performers, whether that be individuals or teams or whatever that looks like, they're they don't necessarily have a problem. Like they'll have obstacles that are centered around their goal, like the goal specifically, like what it's going to take to get there in those specific limitations or boundaries they might have to kind of push in order to get to that goal. But they don't normally struggle with like self-doubt, consistency, those type of things. They're like, I'll put it like this. For high performers, it's not really a matter of like if they're going to hit their goal. It's like how. Like I just want to know how. Like I just need the path, the plan. Somebody show me how to do this, and I can do it. So it's such a different energy. It's the energy behind it. It's like it's even when they have problems, even like I said, goal specific challenges that they might face. It's like it's not really a problem to them. It's just like again, not if I'm gonna push past this obstacle, but it's like, how do I push past this obstacle?
Yes.
Yeah, they're just relentless.
It's relentless.
Like they have absolutely no doubt that they're great, that they're going to get to that goal, even if it seems crazy impossible to everybody else around them. They are just like 1,000%. It's even past belief. Like it's not even that they believe in themselves. Like they just know. Like they just know for sure, 100%. And that's so crazy because that energy transfers to me too. Like it's so beneficial both ways to be that right hand for that person, but to also be like, that person gives me fuel in my business, in my life as well. So it's such an equal transition of value. Can I say transition? What's the word I'm looking for?
Transferring.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Of value.
Which is so great too, because like for some people I know that can be now what's the word I'm looking for? I know like for some people that can be kind of scary in a way, right? So like I want to ask you, I already know that I feel like I already know the answer, but I want to ask like, have you ever had somebody so high performing that you felt like you had to either step your game up or you felt like you weren't able to help them, or like has that ever played on your own confidence, like dang, if my client is doing this and this, I should be doing X, Y, and Z? Like have you ever had those moments or those clients?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Definitely plenty. I swear I felt like that. Mostly in the beginning because I got used to problem solving. So I got used to being in the mode of helping somebody believe in themselves because that is where I start. That is what I started doing. And I had to kind of unlearn that when I started to work with people who didn't
Already
have those
believe in
problems.
themselves.
Right. Right. So it's like it went from trying to search for a problem to realizing that, oh, I just have to fuel the fire here. Like that's what they want me for. Like they just want me to fuel their fire. Like that's it. So it's almost like it's it's interesting because it's like you feel like you have to be more valuable to that person and do more, but they actually need less from you than a person who isn't high performing. So when you kind of realize that, like, oh, all they need is somebody to boost their ego. All they need is like if they are feeling some kind of way for whatever reason, like remind them who they are and like they're right back to it. So it's really not much that they need. It's literally like being like their right hand person.
Yeah.
Um, seeing blind spots if they don't see it, asking the right questions, like, oh, I didn't even think about it like that. Oh, that's a different perspective. They appreciate different perspectives. They're very open to other possibilities and opportunities. So it feels so much more collaborative than authoritative when you're working with the
Mm.
but yeah, I did struggle with that until I realized that it was more of a collaboration than trying to make you feel like you need me. I no longer have to do that. And then when I realized that, it became a lot smoother. Like, okay, like this is, yeah, I got a lot more used to it. And I found my footing in what my value was.
Okay. That's actually a really refreshing perspective. Like as far as the difference in clientele. So you said like you started off with the people, like you said, who you kind of needed, they needed you to help them believe in themselves versus now you're working with people who already believe in themselves. They're just like, okay, but how do I get here? Like if you give me the directions to my goal, I follow it, we good. That's it. That's all I need is the plan. So then what would you tell like your old clients that you used to work with? Like, because as far as that type of clientele, they're almost looking at the clients you have now as like, how do you even get there? Like, this is kind of impossible almost. Like, a person who can't even see past where they are to even begin to operate in high performance, like, what is your advice to them? Like, what would you tell them? That's like loaded.
That the person that's high performing or that other type of person, there's nothing different about them. There's nothing more special about them. It's mental. It's all mental. And I do understand that the lack of belief sometimes comes from either not being exposed to seeing what might be possible, just certain traumas that you might have dealt with that have placed limiting beliefs on you. But the difference between you and the person that is achieving these great things or just has this attitude about, the audacity, it really simply is just that. It's all mental. It's all mental. It's just simply their knowing of who they are and how great they are. Like that's the only difference. And if you could find a way to adopt that, then you'd be there as well. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the circumstance, it's nothing else. It's nothing else.
It's not like better positioning. It's none of that. Like people see people who are high performing and think that they have the circumstances laid out for them from Jump Street, and that is just, a cakewalk for them, not knowing their journey or their story or how hard they had to actually get there too. And actually, speaking of how hard somebody has to work to get to where they are, that was like my number one reason for wanting you to speak today is your perspective, y'all. This is the part where you get your notebooks out. Your perspective on hard work and working hard in this grind culture. I love the perspective that you have on it because society today tells us, you got to grind to get to where you want to be. You got to hustle, you got to bust your butt. You got to do this. You got to wake up early, go to sleep late, like all of these exhausting things just to accomplish a single goal. And, that's not necessarily always the case. And when you learn, work smarter, not harder, it becomes a little easier for you. So talk to the people a little bit, just like about your perspective on grind culture and yeah, just go ahead, do your thing.
I actually I wouldn't say struggling with this, but this was also a part of me finding and stepping into high performance unapologetically because I am so against grind culture. And it seems very counterintuitive to talk about ease in the high performance world. So understanding that when I watch a high performer work, to them, they would describe it as hard work. But what I see is I just see passion. I think they're completely inspired. Whether they realize it or not, I think that we need a reason to we need to justify our success somehow. So I think we just to get so used to saying I work for this, I work hard, that we kind of wear it as a badge of honor. So I think that when they describe how they kind of operate, they will say that they work hard and they describe themselves as hardworking and things like that. But when I see it, what I see again is like, they're just constantly inspired. They're just constantly driven by whatever that passion, that purpose is. and it's natural. It's not like they're fighting against the wind. It's
Yeah.
like that level of effort that they're putting into their goal, it comes natural because they're so connected to why they're doing it. And they're just so passionate about it, like almost obsessed.
Yeah.
So I feel as though when you move with that, to me, that's not hard work. It's like you're enjoying what you wouldn't rather be doing anything else.
Right.
So I don't necessarily see it as hard work. So it could simply just be wording, but also I feel as though like a lot of times we hear like the conversation about motivation versus discipline. You know, motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going, yada, yada, yada. I don't think we talk enough about being inspired and constantly being in an inspired state. And I feel like when you're inspired, you don't need motivation or discipline.
I was
You are
gonna
just,
say that's an either or. That's right.
yeah, you don't need either one of those. You only need those two things when you're fighting against the wind, when
Yeah.
you are trying to force yourself to do something you don't want to do. But if you could find those deeper rooted reasons as to why you want to do that thing and connect to that, you're going to feel so inspired. It's not going to make any sense to do anything else. And that's the place that I feel like people should focus on getting to, as opposed to trying to. I just think it's a constant battle when you're just trying to be disciplined all the time. Like you just rely on discipline. Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Um, but but I think that inspiration is underrated, and getting into like a flow state, like a state where you're just don't zoned in, locked in. I think you can get there in any area of life. Like if you're trying to start a business and working on your business, or trying to study your craft, or if you're in school, or if you have fitness goals, or whatever that might be. I think anybody can get into that flow state if and connect to that deeper rooted reason as to why they want to do something and constantly be inspired.
Yeah.
But the thing about that too is when you do think about inspiration, that's where the effort comes in. The effort isn't in the action. The effort is in constantly trying to stay aligned so that you can constantly remain inspired. So that's that meditation that you wake up and do in the morning, or whatever your process might be. That's that just maybe visualization. Some people do that to like get inspired. Everybody has like different methods. I have a client who like she paints. That's how she feels inspired. But the discipline or the discipline comes in constantly doing that thing so that you can be inspired to do all the other things. Um, so the thing about inspiration is like there are going to be moments where you're not inspired and you have to be okay with just sitting and resting. I think people run from inspiration because they feel like it's fleeting, and it is. But when it leaves, it's like, or when it stops, the momentum slows down. It's kind of being okay with that and understanding that it's supposed to right now. Like rest in whatever it maybe this is rest time, maybe this is prep time. You're not supposed to be in action constantly.
Right.
Um, so I think that's why people like shy away from inspiration is because they're like it's fleeting, you can't really control it. But you know, you're not really supposed to be acting every moment of every day of every month in the year. Like
That
you are
can
supposed
even
to
be
have some rest
simplified.
moments.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that can even be simplified down to like the analogy of like when you're in the gym and you're doing an exercise, like you're not going to constantly be lifting every second that you're in there. You have to take a rest moment. And when you're taking that rest period, that doesn't mean that you're less, it doesn't even mean that you're less inspired to do the next, but you have to build up that momentum again to then lift again. So whoa, that is pretty crazy, actually. See the audacity to not go for discipline or motivation. She just went straight
Yeah.
in between to
Right to
inspiration.
inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is perfect. So would you say like a person either wants it or they don't? Like if would you say it's almost that simple? So like I think about I don't know why, and it could just be because of like the trainer background. I always think about like the gym people, like the ones who force themselves. They're like, oh, I have to go to the gym. I have to go to the gym. I'll build discipline as I go every single day. Would you just say it's like a you either want it or you don't? Because you start off kind of not wanting it until you get in the flow. You see how great it makes you feel. Then now it's easier, or like, what would you say?
You either want it or you don't.
Is it as black and white as that?
No, I wouldn't think so because like you could I feel like if it comes to your mind, if you think I want a nicer body, or I want more financial freedom, or whatever, then you want it. Because I feel like you wouldn't be thinking about it. The desire wouldn't have came to you if you didn't want it. So you want it, but I think the connection to why you want it is like the missing piece.
Yeah.
And being real with yourself as to why you want something, and just letting it fuel you, because I feel like some reasons might be superficial. You might want financial freedom so you can prove somebody wrong, or you might want that body so you can, you know what I'm saying, look good. Like that could be the only reason, but like whatever it is, just connect to it. Like connect so deeply with look, like it doesn't have to be a health reason or a deeper root, like energy. It could just simply be, I just want to look good. I want to
Right.
look good, whatever clothes that I wear, and that's just it. But it's like connect to that then. Like connect so deeply with the fact that you want to look good. Imagine yourself in whatever outfit it is at whatever event that you need to, so that you can connect to that reason. So it's like I think the connection to why you want it is like the missing piece.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it's a thought in your mind, then you do want it. If it's a desire that has come, even if it was like, even if it's not strong, you do want it. And I think the only thing that really strengthens that desire and that want is that reason behind why you want it.
Mm. Finding your why. So that still remains like a constant for most things, because honestly, when you do find that reason why you want to look good, like you said, it just pops up in your mind, like I want to look good. It's like, okay, but why? The
Exactly.
inspiration comes after you figure out
Answer that
that
question.
why. You get inspired when you visualize yourself like in that outfit that you want to look so good in, or whatever the case is. So that is good. What would
Yeah.
you say your higher purpose is for coaching, or would you say there's a higher purpose?
But my higher purpose is
Mhm. Like
in
for
life.
coaching the way that you do, for coaching the clients that you do, like, do you feel like there is, yeah, do you just feel like there's a higher purpose for what you do and why?
Definitely. Um, hmm. I think I'm getting caught up in the word higher though. Because the purpose in my opinion is and my just what I feel I'm placed here to do is to just remind people of who they are,
Yes.
and how great they actually are. Because I feel like we lose that along the way with life. um Whether that's comparing ourselves to others, or whether that's being talked down to by, whether that's parents or teachers or whoever, like just kind of like life beating you down, like you just figure who you are. So insecurities that come up, all those things, you just figure who you are along the way. So I feel like I'm placed here to remind people of who they are. I'm here to really speak to people's greatness,
Yeah.
and but that's like the purpose that's right in my face. That's
Yeah.
the like to me, there's nothing higher than that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I'm it's right here on I'm leveled with it, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Uh and to me it's like I really want people to feel like, to know that they're great is just common sense. Like I
Right.
want it to no longer be a revelation. Like no
Mhm.
longer be this. It doesn't have to be that deep. Like I kind of want people like the audacity, like that expectation,
No.
like just that expectation of like, yeah, of course, like kind of like that cockiness a little bit. Like I want
Yes.
that for people. Like I want people to just for I want an insecurity to almost feel like an intruder. Like,
Oh,
what are you doing here?
that's
Like, hold
good.
on. Like, this doesn't feel natural. This doesn't feel normal. I feel like right now it's the other way around. Like everything else feels like natural, but like that stepping into your greatness feels a little unnatural for some people.
Wow.
Oh, just kind of flipping that. And it's like, that's natural. And anytime I feel any insecurity or I'm questioning anything, it's kind of like, I kind of like look at myself like, what? Like, why would you even think you can't do that? Like, that's crazy. And like, get out of here. So just that mindset shift, making that mindset shift is what.
Truthfully, that is like 100% accurate though. Like, no matter what your belief, no matter how you flip that, like, greatness truly is like our natural state.
It's a birthright.
It's
A
a
birthright.
literal birthright. And so I like what you said about how, along the way, somewhere throughout life, we lose that identity of being great. We lose that identity of being capable. We lose that whole identity. And so for us to have to rediscover it, first of all, that's already intrusive. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's already intrusive because it's like, why don't I remember who I am? Why do I not know that I am this great person, this great being? Like, this is how I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to walk every day. So having to relearn that, oh man, you just dropped a whole jewel when you said you want people to be so confident in their greatness and the fact that they're great and know that they're great, that anytime they are faced with an insecurity, it should almost feel like an intrusive attack. It should almost feel like an intrusive attack.
You're not welcome
Why am
here.
I insecure about this? Like, do you know who I am? I can do all
Thank
things.
you. Yes, yes,
All things.
exactly.
So who are you? Why are you here?
Exactly.
Let me just go ahead and pick this apart real quick so you know that you don't belong here.
Yes.
That is a powerful mindset. It is a powerful mindset shift. Have you always, and of course, I have to ask, have you always throughout your life felt like that?
No, I have not.
So what was the moment in your life or
Uh-huh.
moments, however many, that shifted the entire trajectory of your mindset and the way that you used to operate into how you operate now? Because of course, like, that's what this podcast is about, the different perspectives in a person's life and what was the thing that shifted the entire trajectory of their life to where they had this, revelation or whatever it is to know, like, no, this wasn't it. And now I have to walk like this. What was that for
Yeah.
you?
Man, I mean, I think I just kind of floated through high school. I didn't think anything. I just was there. I just was existing. That was just that. And then I graduated high school and felt this sense of like, I was like so depressed. Like I just felt like I was a waste of space. Like, why am I here? Like there's no passion, there's no purpose, there's nothing for me here. And that was tough because I feel like my spirit is naturally ambitious. So it's like I naturally have that in me, but I had no sense of passion or purpose or direction. I was trying different things and I had a great support system, but nothing was doing it for me. So I went through this moment where I did feel like just, like I said, I just a waste of space. Like just, like, I don't know,
Just here, just existing.
yeah. And I will say that finding fitness gave me like something to hold on to.
Okay.
I just kind of got obsessed with it because I think it was just a time filler. It was just like a space filler for me. It was like filling that void. So that obsession turned into that was like a stepping stone to get here, obviously. But that obsession turned into when I started working on myself, I started to get that confidence. Simply that. And then when people started asking me, how are you doing this? And da 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 da, then my confidence grew even more because I'm like, well, now I'm not only doing this for myself, but now I can help somebody else do it.
Yes.
Again, that sense of purpose definitely kind of grew that confidence. And then just through my whole coaching career from that point forward, it's been a constant. Every time I try something new or step out on faith, it's almost like you have to relearn it all over again. Like you are starting from that moment of like, okay, I'm new at this, or I might not know what I'm doing, or those thoughts that come in. And then, but I think that with so much personal development, and just like mental development, at this point, even if I start something new, those thoughts don't have as much control over me as they did before. Like before, when I started something new, I would let those thoughts kind of paralyze me. Like, you are new to this, you're young, you don't know what you're doing, they're not going to listen to you, da da da. And it
Yes.
kind of stifles you a little bit. But as you work on yourself and do your personal development in the background, those thoughts are always going to come. So again, it's that, what are you doing here? Like, you're not welcome here. Like, do you know who I am? Like, you just start to like build that resistance to, to
Mhm.
that. So it's been a constant work in progress, but I can say that right now, in the moment that I'm in the season that I'm in, I am, I have that emotional armor. I have that mental armor so that when those thoughts come, it's they don't even get through.
Yep.
Because the thoughts don't stop. You don't stop thinking, maybe this
Yeah.
is possible. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe I can do that. Like, well, that's crazy to think that. You're wild for that. And you just keep going. So yeah, I think that where I am right now, I've built enough resistance against those thoughts. So it's gotten a lot easier. But that's personal development. Like, I don't think any specific moment helped me get there. It's just constantly working on your mind, like
Yes.
constantly programming your mind,
Mhm.
and it never stops.
I'm
That
glad
work
you
never.
said that. I'm glad you said that because I think people think now that, like, they'll go to the gym and they'll do all of these things and that they're supposed to be there in that constant state all the time. Now but it's a continuous effort. Like you said earlier, it's a continuous effort to remain in that state. So there's still some effort there to begin with, but like, it's not just I'm gonna read this book, I'm gonna listen to this podcast, I'm gonna go to the gym and boom, I'm gonna be made new. It's like, no, you have to continuously, it's a continuous effort. I don't want to say continuous battle or anything like that because I mean, a fight just sounds exhausting, but
Yeah,
it
but I know.
it's
Yeah.
a continuous effort to keep yourself there. So like being able to pick up on those negative thoughts as soon as they enter your mind, first of all, that's a muscle that has to be worked. Because by the time people realize that they've had a negative thought, they're already in the dumps. They have to get into the flow of recognizing those thoughts immediately. Like as soon as that intruder crosses the line, it's like, woo, 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 I need these sirens going off. It's like,
Yeah.
who are you? Why are you here? You got to go back down.
Exactly.
So I read a book and it was basically saying like, negative thoughts are just, a seed to be planted. You have to pick that seed up before it even begins to take root in the soil.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they let the seed, they look at seed, the seed starts taking root. They even water it a little bit with some more thoughts that come in,
Mhm.
and they don't,
Mhm.
by the time they have to pull it up, they got to do a whole landscape.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what would you say then? What would you say then are your top 3 tips for, I guess, for somebody who is basically discovering what personal development even looks like? Because like I said, like people have these different stigmas or these different aesthetics to what personal development looks like via social media. But like, what does the work really look like? What would you say the top 3 things for people to focus on if they're just starting to do personal development?
I would say identifying what the next level looks like for you, and then from there, asking yourself, what do I need to master in order to get to that next level? Once you understand what you need to master in order to get there, you can know what type of personal development you should be listening to.
Yeah.
And then, obviously from there, doing that research into what those topics are. So if the next thing you need to master is confidence, or it is, people skills, or, whatever those soft skills may be, leadership,
Yeah.
if that is what it is, then you should be listening to books, podcasts, whatever that speaks specifically to that thing that you need to master. And always, I think it's important to mix the two, like the things you need to master, but then also, like, I wouldn't call them spiritual books,
Mhm.
but like a Abraham Hicks, or like a Rev Ike, or like a Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
um, that really focus on the subconscious mind and like just general reprogramming of what that looks like,
Yeah.
and like that general empowerment. So
Yeah.
whatever that daily dose of empowerment is that you get, whoever that speaker is that you listen to, like blending that with then very specific skill-based personal development.
Yes.
So yeah, understanding what the next level looks like for you, then asking yourself what you need to master, and then listening to personal development specifically for that, blending that with that general daily dose of empowerment. Um, and then also kind of knowing what your strengths are as well. Like, well, yeah, what do I need to master? But then also, what am I good at, and how can I, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? How can I nurture that?
Yeah.
That personal development is important too. Um, so I think that a blend of that is the recipe for, success.
Recipe. It's the recipe. Yeah, definitely doing the inner work. And the inner work is always about the thoughts that you are not even aware of and the feelings that you're not even aware of. So even like you might say like, oh, I don't think I could do this, but then you have to constantly ask yourself why. I read something else that said, ask yourself why 5 times before you'll actually get to the actual root of what that why is. It's like, oh, I don't think I would look good in that. Why? Just because, I got this little belly. Okay, but why are you,
How does it matter?
why does that matter
Yeah.
to you? Like, oh, because it just don't look good. Why not? According to who? So constantly asking yourself why, until you get to the root. Then you find out you was teased as a 5-year-old for having a little belly, and now the little belly bothers you. So you have to work backwards in a sense too when you're doing personal development. So this is good. This is really good. I just want to thank you. Oh, first of all, your one word of advice. You said it on the questionnaire. You said life is truly what you make it.
I
Life
said
is
that.
truly.
I don't
Girl, you did.
even- Well, I agree. I agree.
I said, what was the one word of advice that you wish people knew, that you want people to know? And you said that life is truly what you make it. And so to me, that just means like, not being a victim to your circumstances, not being a victim to, those negative thoughts, like being controlled by all of those things. If life is truly what you make it, know that you have control over all those things and that you can, to a certain degree, control what you want the outcome of your life to be, what you want your everyday to look like. So is that a proper interpretation, or what else you got?
1,000%, 1,000%. Yes, life is exactly what, and then it's like it's never too late to just quickly make the decision to do something different or better. Like even if you have been a victim of your circumstances or you have been a victim of your mindset, it's one day and making that decision, just making that decision, like, all right, it's something got to change.
All right, that's bro.
And it's never too late for that. So also knowing that too, I don't care how much you have, like, there's nothing that can't be undone. Um, in your life. Like, even if you have spent majority of your life in negative thinking, in limiting beliefs, like that can be reversed. That can be, you can deprogram that thinking. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna take a little more effort, but it's possible. And also anything is possible too. That's probably another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think life is what you make it. You specifically. So, with your thoughts.
Mm. There's nothing that can't be undone. That's good. People get stuck and think that their current reality is like their future or the rest of their life, or they think that their past or feel that their past is, all that they got. And they hang on to that. And that's more so fear-based too, like fear of the unknown, but also like how attached are you to your story? Like, is it an unhealthy attachment? You know what I mean? Like, are you unhealthily attached to the point where it's like, it's paralyzing and you think that your story is your identity, not knowing that you can recreate a new identity. You can be renewed. So
That was good.
good.
That's good. That's good. And a lot of times I found that is a lot of people aren't asked the question. Like they aren't asked forward thinking questions. Like they aren't asked,
Exposure.
what's your vision? Like what do you see?
Yes.
Like a lot of times I've never been asked that question. I don't know. Like, so all they know is their current, their past, and they just keep recreating the same thing over and over. So I think having coaches or having somebody on your team that is asking you those forward thinking questions is important because a lot of times it's simply a matter of just never having even thought about that. And for us, it's common sense because we're like, well, how do you not think about the future? Like, how do you not, for some people, it's like, I just have never thought of, like, I just experience something, I get my attention to it, and I keep recreating it over and over and over. Um, and then before they know it, everything's blended together, past, present, and future. It's all happening at one time, and they just don't know what's what. But to be able to see the future and to create a new future for yourself and be bold enough and brave enough and have the courage to like consider a future that you really don't even have an example is possible to create. I think is life-changing,
That exposure is heavy. That word exposure, like the more we talk, the word exposure just continuously keeps coming to my mind because it's like mentally, even personal development wise. That's what I'm saying. Like people's personal development stops at what they think they're supposed to do by what they see on social media. So you have to, even when it comes to your mind, you have to have a certain exposure to even begin thinking expansion. And your surroundings, if this life is all you know in the city that you're in, you have not traveled outside of your city, outside of your state, you have no idea what life anywhere else looks like. Again, exposure to be able to expand. Everything starts with exposure. If you have not been exposed, if you have not been exposed to new thoughts, to new questions, to forward thinking questions, like you said, and all the questions that you get asked is, how you doing today? How you doing today? How you doing today? How was your day? How was your day? How was your day? You're constantly thinking about what you're in right now, but it continues to blend with your past because, again, you have no new thought, no new
feeling. Just recreating it over and over. Yeah.
So it's like, even with the people, who have these stories that they have grown attached to, they haven't even thought necessarily about, like, what would it be like if I just kind of dropped this narrative and picked up another one? If I adopted a new narrative, what would that look like? I know I have this feeling that I don't want to feel these traumas anymore, but I haven't even thought about what it looks like or what it even feels like to not feel like this. I can't even imagine what life would be like if I just decided to, this happened and I learned from it. I can't just drop it, but at the same time, I can move beyond it.
Mentally.
And it's also because, like, for example, I know people who have had the same friends since like kindergarten.
Right. Just all time.
Just to be real dramatic about it.
Right.
Like, so you're constantly, if you've grown up with these people, y'all all went to school together, this is like your group. If no one in that circle has worked on themselves or is doing personal development or forward thinking activities or anything, then all of y'all are constantly recycling thoughts.
Yeah.
You're recycling thoughts and recycling experiences. There is no new exposure, no new thought process, no new anything. You have to step outside of that circle and meet someone new to even
I'm just open to people.
to a new thought.
Yeah.
And what's
And
crazy is
exposure to expand. I love that.
exposure to expand. And that, period.
Right.
That, like, it's such a real thing. And I think that, like, I don't consider myself necessarily an extrovert at all, but I feel like also me and you have been reading personal development books since we were like 14, 13, 12, 10. And so that then in of itself was exposure to new thoughts or newer thoughts and thoughts beyond our current thinking. And so then we are able to grow into those things and then continue to read more or listen to more, expose ourselves to more. Like we kind of groomed ourselves to be in that process.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
in a way, it was low-key an advantage.
I love that neither one of us are extroverts because I've just been thinking, and I went from never wanting to like literally saying over and over and over, I'm not a speaker, I'm a coach. I'm not a speaker, I'm a coach. I don't speak. I don't speak. I don't speak. I don't speak. And I had came to the realization that, wow, your career is not going to get any further if you don't start talking. Yep. So I went from thinking for my whole coaching career, being completely against speaking. And then all of a sudden, I now have a goal to become a speaker. Yeah. And I feel like that is going to I'm like in the process of reprogramming my mind right now. So to your point, the personal development never stops. Every time you want to reinvent yourself or get to a new level, you're going to have to do more reprogramming and more personal development. And then I caught myself saying I was an introvert the other day. And then I was like, at what age did I just start to define myself in these ways? Like, at what age did I just start saying that I'm this, I'm that? I'm like, why do I keep saying that? Like, for what?
Being an introvert aligned with my greater self. Like, how did I even get here?
Yeah, how did I get here? And I think we do that a lot. People say I'm a procrastinator or, like they just kind of give themselves titles and put themselves in boxes and they don't serve you. And it's completely against the goal you want to go for. So, at what age did we just start to define ourselves? Like, I think we do that early. I'm bad at math, but I'm great here. You hang with this crowd. Like, I think you just start to early in middle school or even elementary, like you just start to define yourself slowly and slowly and slowly. And then you look up and you have all these definitions that probably 90% are disempowering, you know? So it's just understanding that when you do have that new possibility in mind, like when you do come to that realization, like, okay, I want something new for myself, you're going to have to reinvent yourself. Like it's a reinvention. And you should be supported by people who are going to support that reinvention. Are they going to just continue to remind you of who you were or who you are? Or, girl, you don't do that. What are you talking about? Like, what? I ain't never seen you do that before. Like, are they going to support your reinvention, or are they going to keep reminding you of who you were before? So a supportive, community, and to your point, like finding new people or isolating yourself if you need to. For a long time, like speakers were my personal development, my circle. Like the people I listened to were just my circle. Like I had to just isolate myself, and I considered my circle of influence just the speakers that I listened to. Like those were my friends for a while. And that's just how I had to operate. And so, you find new people that is actually like going to be around you. But yeah, and when you decide that you want something different, you will have to reinvent yourself, which means you're going to have to unlearn a lot, relearn a lot, and reprogram. And that's going to take a lot of
comfort zone. Get up out that comfort zone. So I'm going to speak to you just for 2 seconds about that. You said your purpose, the purpose that you are aligned with, is, reminding people of their greatness, reminding people, like how capable they are. Like, you are amazing. Like, why can you not see that? Like, that's what you're here for. That's what you're here to remind people. So being a speaker is that was always, I feel like being a speaker was literally in your blueprint, because even as coaches, they say coaches,
right.
A triple threat, right? That's speaking, writing, and coaching. We have to be a triple threat technically, like, because even for me, like my biggest thing was I'm not comfortable with my voice. I hate the way my voice sounds. That was my identity with my voice. So I wasn't going to use it. But since I was a little girl, I've always had dreams that I'm on a stage in front of so many people speaking. And then and I'm excited about it. But then on the other end, I'm like, I hate my voice. So, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So like I told you, or maybe I haven't told you, but like I never had intentions of doing a podcast ever in life. Like, why would I do a podcast if I hate my voice?
Yeah, right. Now I gotta hear myself talk all the time.
Exactly.
And other people hear me talk. Yeah.
And I think I saw you post that one day on your Instagram story about, needing to speak more or something like that. And that's when I shared with you, like, I started the podcast just as Instagram reels, like, and the whole purpose of that was just to get comfortable.
I remember that. Yeah.
Get comfortable with my voice. Like, obviously I wanted to make it purposeful, but even if I just had something minimal to say or whatever the case was, I made a commitment to myself that once a week, every Tuesday, I'm going to make an Instagram reel of me talking. And I did that for about 8 weeks before I realized I did it for straight 8 weeks. And I was like, and I'm 100% comfortable doing it.
All right, I'm good.
On the phone, record, whatever, and just get with it. So that really shattered me. Like you said before, you said basically active personal development. Like, we can't just sit and listen to things all the time. At some point, we also have to implement. And so active personal development was really big in getting me to where I am now, as far as being comfortable with my voice. And so now, even having the podcast, now it's like, now I feel more comfortable or more equipped to even go and then take on speaking engagements and things like that.
Yes.
So just for you and your greatness, that's your that's your whole next level. But you already know that. That's your next level. And that's why you're picking it apart now. That's why you're reprogramming now, because being a speaker, like, you have to share your value in multiple different ways. I had to get out of the thinking like not everybody is going to sign up as a coach, and you only have but so much time to coach people one-on-one or even in groups. There's still so many
How
limits.
can you impact on a larger scale? Yeah.
Correct.
So ultimately, right, if we simplify that, when we take ourselves out the equation,
Mhm.
you had to make it about the impact you wanted to make and not about you. Because if it's just about you, then it's about your voice.
Yep.
It's about this, it's about that. But it's like, it ain't about me. I'm gonna take myself out the equation. And now it's about who I'm impacting. So that I think shifts a lot too. Like when you think about who's getting the value, and again, take yourself out of the equation, it allows for you to kind of see the bigger picture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Think about the impact that you want to have. Can you do that in your current circumstance? Like something else I saw in your IG story, girl, I study you, and it's okay. Something else I saw, like on your IG story, it was like you have to ask yourself, how big do I want to go with this? How much further can I go with this? And if you can go beyond your current circumstance, choose the bigger one every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's on
Just
you though. That's on
saying,
you.
just
That's on you. Exposure to expand. So I know
yes,
like
I love that. I love that.
started doing, you had a speaking engagement before. I think you had like a woman empowerment event that you did.
Yeah.
Yep, and you're
Yeah.
doing
So,
podcasts now. So you're slowly doing it. You know what I'm saying? You're using your voice.
yeah.
Now, how can you blow it up?
Right. And they're just being playful with it too. Like it's really nothing serious going on here. Like,
Exactly.
what's the
It's
big
like I'm
deal?
doing what I do all the time. I talk.
Hey, hey, I do this all day. So, like, okay. Oh, okay. I gotta hop on this consultation.
Absolutely. Well, I thank
This,
you. I would do. I would really thank you for sharing space. I don't even know what time it is. This is what happens. I just be talking. But thank you so much for sharing space with us today. Thank you for dropping the gems that you dropped. Um, as far as homework to all the listeners, because I do homework, go back and revisit the 3 tips that Coach K specifically talked about as far as what it takes or what personal development really looks like for you. Write that down and do the homework. Answer the question. What does it look like for you? What could you do today if you wanted to start today to actually act and walk in, developing personally so that you can reach the goals that you want to reach? Other than that, Coach K, thank you so much. And to my listeners, I will talk to you next week.
Bye.